Ladies and gentlemen, for the past year, Trump has been vilified, blamed for everything. All the horrible decisions, all the transgressions of his political rivals, his direct political rivals, were swept under the rug. They were able to get away with pretty much everything. Cuomo had a book. So if you want leadership lessons on how to, send people into elderly care and cause the loss of life of thousands, then I don't know if it's in that book, but Cuomo is now being investigated not just for his horrendous, atrocious decision-making, which led directly to lives being lost. And I've been talking about this for a year. But you had states with the most draconian policies, the most heavy-handed laws, experience the worst outcomes. This is according to the New York Times. The top 4 highest per capita rates are in Democratic-run states, with New York and New Jersey leading the list. And Phil Murphy is next, so we have Whitmer now in Michigan. I can read you, this is Yahoo News. It's actually a Fox News article. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer could face a G probe. Calls by state Republicans to investigate the governor gain steam amid allegations. Wow. That she paid $155,000 in hush money to a former state health department director. So, you better believe that nobody's really talking about this. It's not even... And there's a scandal and a controversy with elderly care facilities in Michigan as well. Do you think that media is... Here, Whitmer defends secret payouts to former health director as Michigan GOP demands details. Well, if it's a secret payout, you better believe that there's probably something either nefarious or... this is interesting. They care more about a somewhat of a business transaction between Trump and Stormy than secret payouts during a pandemic that you can attribute a loss of life, like where the governor's decision making can be attributed directly to a loss of life. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer defended her administration's controversial payouts to 3 departing state officials that have Republicans in the state demanding details and eyeing an investigation. Whitmer, a Democrat, was asked about the agreements during a press conference on Tuesday where she defended the separation agreements by saying they are often used both in business and the public sector when an organization leader leaves their post. What? The Michigan governor was pressed on whether the details amounted to hush money. I really bristle at that characterization. The nature of separation agreements? No, you shouldn't be... If someone signs a confidentiality agreement in government, well, first of all, there shouldn't even be confidentiality agreements. There should be complete transparency in both state and federal government. But here, Government Gretchen Whitmer appears to be buying the silence of high-level government employees during the greatest crisis of our time. If there's nothing to hide, the governor and these former employees should provide details. Could you imagine surrounding these payoffs and confidentiality agreements? So, again, you have $155,000. I mean, it's like unbelievable. And you have the same issue. With Cuomo in New York pertaining to the elderly care facilities. And so, feds demand answers from Governor Whitmer on Michigan nursing home, the lives being lost. So you have this. Lansing, U.S. Department of Justice announced Wednesday it is seeking data from Michigan Governor Whitmer. I don't know the date of this, so it doesn't show the date here. But she is facing At least 2,083 nursing home residents, okay, accounting for 1 in 3 of the lives lost. So if 1 in 3 of the lives lost in Michigan are attributed to, so it must be, this is August 26, 2020. So wait a second. So yeah, that's a while back. You're looking at now it's probably got worse, much worse. Let's see. Anyway, there are questions. There are questions. A lot of questions. State Republicans here, this is 6 days ago, February 25th. State Republicans want Whitmer investigated for senior facility restrictions and lives lost. According to the state of Michigan, more than 5,500 residents have now lost their lives in these long-term care facilities. So why is this like... Hit subscribe, by the way, to this channel. We will have a live stream later this evening. Why is this a common theme among Democratic governors? We haven't even gotten into Phil Murphy yet. So hit subscribe to this channel. We will have a live stream later this evening. So be here for the live stream later this evening at around 10 p.m. Pacific. But President Trump is presiding over investigations of Whitmer. You have Cuomo. You have a recall with Newsom. We'll get to that right now. Gavin Newsom pushes towards California reopening as recall petitions near 2 million. 2 million people in the bluest, the most liberal state in the country, along with New York, want to recall the governor. So, and there's probably a lot more. Embattled California Governor Gavin Newsom is ramping up efforts and hopes to reopen some kind of, under new legislation announced. So here, the push to reopen California comes as petition to recall Newsom nears 2 million signatures. Organizers said 1,927,000 signatures have been granted with 2 weeks to go before the March 17th deadline. So you have 2 million signatures in a recall. Newsom is potentially facing a recall. It'll probably happen. You have Cuomo investigated, accused by numerous individuals of despicable behavior. Okay. They've created the rules. They've created the standard by which people need to be judged, the left. And when they try to live up to that, you have one person on The View saying, well, Al Franken resigned. Yeah, there was a picture of him. There was actual evidence of a picture. Picture with Al Franken doing something, alluding to a misconduct or a criminal act. At least that's evidence that he couldn't refute. Okay? There was a police report against President Biden. Again, you're talking about the biggest hypocrites, the most disingenuous, dishonest political operatives. Many wonderful, morally superior Democrats don't live the way that they claim everyone else should live. Whether it's Keith Ellison or the lieutenant governor in Virginia, or President Biden, or Uma Abedin's husband, or the Attorney General of New York, or, we can go Cuomo. I just named 6 people. Just off Bill Clinton, 7 people. I wasn't even thinking. The people who preach the most have the most skeletons. There's not one day when I was writing in the Huffington Post and Salon and talking on YouTube, and there's not one day, any one of my articles, did I say that Hillary Clinton was immoral. Not once. I said she very likely committed criminal acts that even Comey said would have been legal statutes broken were it not for intent, but even the statute that he was referring to doesn't even list intent. I never said he was immoral. I never cast judgment on morality. I never in the past 4 or 5 years of being in, nobody really knows who I am, but in whatever spotlight, even when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, I never talked about morality. if I mentioned why certain people didn't address the DNC lawsuit, that was more an example of the courage or the lack of courage of those individuals. But I never said something is immoral. Or I never said, the Clintons or the Bidens, or these are immoral. It's Democrats and liberal Democrats. They view themselves to be morally superior, and now they're eating each other up. And I told everyone the past year, I said, you cannot blame President Trump for a pandemic that every governor was blindsided, like that blindsided every single governor. Cuomo, Whitmer, Newsom, Phil Murphy. I mean, we can, I'm waiting for the people of New Jersey, and God bless the people of New Jersey. Only the best, most amazing people in New Jersey and New York. If you're in New Jersey, how does Phil Murphy circumvent responsibility? How does he circumvent responsibility in New Jersey? New Jersey has suffered the most. And if you look, how does he circumvent responsibility for everything that's gone on? I don't understand this. You have Cuomo, even de Blasio's being called out, but Murphy, he might have been worse than even Andrew Cuomo. And the only emphasis was on Trump's personality the past year. That's why I say, when people say, no, Nikki Haley, she is more hawkish than Trump. It's like, I don't want somebody, like my last 2 segments prior to this one, I said Nikki Haley would be a great vice president. She would be. Vice president doesn't make foreign policy anyway. You think his former vice president, Trump's former vice president, isn't the same type of establishment hawk? And by the way, the whole point, I am against interventions, counterinsurgency conflicts, and regime changes. I'm not necessarily against a military tactic here and there, although if Biden wants to negotiate with a certain country, it makes no sense within a month of his presidency to launch a certain foreign policy tactic against the groups that are funded by that same country that he wants to negotiate with. I'm kind of speaking in roundabout terms because I want to go ahead and be as safe as possible with the algorithm. But it's like you look at the worst. Look, I'm not making it up. Go to the New York Times statistics right now. You can. I took a screenshot. Here's a screenshot. The other day, 2 days ago or so, in terms of total lives lost, of the top 11 states, 1, 2, so California and New York lead the country. Okay, California actually did a lot better in terms of per capita rate. But New York has the highest one of the highest per capita rates, only second to New Jersey, and they lead the country. They're second in the country in terms of lives lost. It's California, New York, Texas, Florida, but Texas and Florida have a lot higher populations than New York and much lower per capita rates. But here, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Illinois, and then it goes down Michigan, Massachusetts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 11 states. 7 of the top 11 states. So hold on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Of the 11 states, you have Massachusetts, Michigan, Illinois, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, California. 7 of the top 11 states. And seven of the top 11 states, in terms of per capita rates, Because then they say, well, and then like Jonathan Swan's like, oh, well, we're not doing good in per capita rate compared to other countries. New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts lead the country. Massachusetts is up there in lives lost, but New Jersey and New York lead the country in lives lost, unfortunately, with Rhode Island's small state, but I have the highest per capita rate. Massachusetts, highest per capita rate. Has anyone, one of the highest per capita rates and one of the leaders in lives lost, has anyone asked Elizabeth Warren why her state? These are blue states. And you have Connecticut also. You have Pennsylvania up there. So how is this Trump's fault? How is it Trump's fault that governors have mismanaged and run their states into the ground? How is that Trump's fault? I want to know. Because you know what? When you don't debate anyone with Trump derangement, but when you explain this, they get enraged. You can't give any facts to people who despise Trump because facts would undermine their contempt. Actual data from the New York Times undermines their contempt. So, I mean, don't even try it. They just really, they derive spiritual sustenance from disliking Trump. They feel morally superior, and they're standing upon data that disproves all their claims. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Be here for the live stream later this evening at around 10 p.m. Thanks, everybody.